Over the past year, the top players have developed a simple strategy to get kills in the endgame. The strategy is called pre-piecing, and in this video, I'm going to show you what it is, how to use it, how to counter it, and how to train it. First of all, what is pre-piecing? To put it simply, it is the act of placing builds in the area where you think your opponent is going to run out of. By having already built a full box in front of where your enemy is going to go in the endgame, you force your enemy into all of your edits where you can then take a safe peek and force an easy refresh. But how do you actually use pre-piece? Well, the first thing is that it is important to identify which opponents you can establish pre-piece on. To do this, I'm going to split it into three categories: one layer below you, on your layer, and the layer above you. Within each layer, I also want to split each layer into three separate levels. The first is one tile away from you in all directions. At this range, you can create a full box that your opponent will be completely trapped in with no exit options. If you can find players in this area, it is perfect. Also remember that although your enemy might be 2 tiles away from you, what matters is the place where he will be going, not where he currently is. The second level is where your enemy is 2 tiles away. At this range, you can place walls and use your blueprint to edit them. This is less ideal because it is less likely that you will actually get the kill as the opponent has time to escape the box, but you will almost certainly hit a nice shot. The third level is 3 tiles out, which you can't get any pieces that far, but you can predict them going into the second level from here, opening up your options for refreshes even further. When your opponent is 1 layer below you or on your layer, you can box him no matter where he is if he is on the first level. If he is on the second level, you can get the walls and cones onto your opponent, but the one thing to be aware of is that if you are trying to get a cone onto the second level, you need to make sure that you have an open space on the wall, meaning that this top 2-row edit doesn't work, but either a 2-column edit or this top 2-row edit where you then select this extra tile both allow you to slide a cone into the second level. If your opponent is above you though, you can only get the floors and cones underneath your opponent from 1 level away, meaning that your options are more limited when looking above you. If your opponent is boxed in one of these positions, he is a prime target to use pre-piece on, but he is also a prime target if you could run into one of these positions, which leads us to the most important part of pre-piecing, which is understanding the opponent's most logical path. Almost 100% of the time in endgames, the most logical direction for an opponent to run out is towards the direction of the safe zone. Whenever you see an enemy boxed up, think about the most logical next 2 tiles that they will have to move through. If one or both of these tiles is in our range that we talked about in the previous section, this makes that player a prime target to use pre-piece on. Here are some examples of how you would use this. In this first example, I see this player 1x1 to tile above me and clearly within the 1x1 range. For the sake of this example, let's just say that the zone is moving this way. Because I know it's very likely that the player is going to edit out this wall and run across the tile, I can then make a full box below him and then place a floor and cone. Then when he runs out, I can edit the floor and cone and take an easy peek from a right shoulder with little to no risk. If he is on my layer and I know he has to move this direction, I can place a wall here, edit it in either of these 2 orientations, and then place a cone. When my opponent runs out of the box, he will almost certainly be hit very hard because he has no options to protect himself, which allows you to get either an automatic kill or find a weak player who you can then force a 50-50 with. With all of this talk on how to pre-piece opponents, we are missing an important piece, and that is how do you avoid getting pre-piece yourself? Well, because the easiest way to target someone with pre-piece is if they are leaving their box, that means in turn you need to be incredibly careful when leaving your own box. This means that you need to be careful on the first tile that you run past, especially if it's over a floor and a cone. When running out of your box, there are 2 main ways to make yourself harder to predict though. The first is to instantly switch layers when you rotate. People don't expect you to switch layers, meaning that you will be off of people's radars as you enter into their pre-piecing zones. The other way to avoid pre-piece is to leave your box not out of the front. If instead of leaving your box in the direction of the zone where people are looking right at you, if you instead leave out to the side, you will get a way cleaner rotation as less people are looking at that direction. Now that you know how to both pre-piece and how to avoid it, how do you actually practice it? Well, the first thing you need to get down is blueprint editing. Being able to hit these long-range edits is incredibly important for the strategy, so you should build into your mechanics training a section specifically on blueprint editing walls. If you want to practice the in-game usage of pre-piecing, then I recommend playing either 1v1 Zone Wars or Forever Zone Wars. Both of these maps put you in high-pressure situations that teach you how to find enemies that are prime targets for getting pre-pieced, and they allow you to run out the reps to figure out how to safely find these kills. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my deep dive on this one topic, and if you did, I think you'll also enjoy my analysis of Mongraal and Mr. Savage linked on screen. Peace.